the past 8 months that there have been many discussions, speculation, and questions relative to where the system failed Harmony. And I myself continue to share the same concerns and still have many remaining questions. However, the homicide of this little girl rests with the person or persons who committed this horrific act. The Manchester Police Department will do everything within the limits of the law to ensure that the responsible person or persons for the murder of Harmony are brought to justice.
Manchester Police Chief Alan Aldenberg, he's been at the front of this investigation. An investigation that started 2 years after this little girl, Harmony Montgomery, disappeared. They were behind then, but it seems like they're making progress now and catching up. Big announcement in the case today from the Attorney General. Let's take a listen.
Back in January, we announced that then 5-year-old Harmony likely disappeared sometime between November 28th and December 10th of 2019. Since that announcement, members of my office, members of the Manchester Police Department, the U.S. Marshal Service, the FBI, and other law enforcement partners have been diligently continuing to work this case. In total, these agencies working together have devoted thousands of hours gathering evidence and pursuing numerous leads. All of these efforts have led us to conclude that Harmony Montgomery was murdered in Manchester in early December of 2019. At this point, while Harmony's remains have not yet been located, we do have multiple sources of investigative information, including just recently confirmed biological evidence that have led us to this difficult and tragic conclusion. As a result, today I'm announcing that this is now officially a homicide investigation, and that our investigators will continue to seek justice and look into the circumstances of Harmony's murder and search for her remains.
It's extremely sad and tragic, but I think many of us suspected this is where we were going, especially when they visited and executed that warrant on that apartment. Remember seeing the refrigerators brought out, and they went inside and they were getting pieces of carpet, other things, and now the announcement today. So let's bring in an expert to try to put some of these pieces together. Joining me in Jacksonville, Alabama, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, former senior investigator for the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, and host of the Body Bags podcast, Joseph Scott Morgan, back with us tonight. Joseph, great to see you. This is so sad, but let's try to figure out what's going on here. Biological evidence. She's 5 years old. What are we talking about in terms of volume of blood for a 5-year-old?
Yeah, if our viewers will just think about the next time they go to a convenience store and you walk over to where the soda rack is, and you grab a 16-ounce bottle of soda there, approximately 2 of those. Just let that sink in just for a second. That'd be about 32 ounces, maybe 36 at the top end. That's how much blood is generally contained in the body of a child this age. Now it's variable. It's not written in stone, but that's an approximation. That's kind of a rule of thumb. So, and I've worked cases that are similar to this, where if we're talking about biological evidence, Finn, my first indicator for me is that this is going to be blood evidence. And many times how this is termed from a medical legal perspective is that the volume of blood is incompatible with life. That is, the volume of blood found, spilled, for instance, if it is blood, all right? He's saying biological evidence. Now, that could mean certain types of tissue, hair, those sorts of things. But when you do the calculus on this and you begin to think, well, tissue, hair, that's one thing. But when you talk about a loss of life, because now we're talking about homicide, that's what I'm beginning to suspect at this point. They found blood. And going back to what you had said about the examination, the warrant in the apartment, do you remember, was it like a month and a half ago 2 months ago, I can't recall, where they did the manhole search. I found that very interesting as well. What were they down there looking for as well? And for me, it's just been crazy.
Any thoughts about a potential weapon in a case like
Well,
this?
I tell you what, yeah, we can talk about a potential weapon, but we need to think about causal factors here. The first thing, if this is biological sample, if this biological sample they're talking about is in fact blood, then we have to begin to potentially rule out things like strangulation, blunt force trauma, with a closed head injury or something like that. And then we have to go to, things like sharp force, or gunshot wound. Sharp force, in my experience, at least in the cases I've worked over the years, you get a much higher volume of blood at a scene relative to that. I have no inside knowledge. I don't know if that's what's happened or not, but I'm just speculating on this based upon cases I've worked in the past. And again, that my heart just absolutely breaks. We've covered this for months, Vin. And the fact that this is being said now gives us an indication of the horror that's involved in this case. Right, you were right to say we have suspected this, but I think every one of us were holding out hope.
Joseph Scott Morgan, we're short on time tonight. This was some breaking news. We're going to do a much deeper dive into this story, obviously, sometime in the near future, and hopefully you'll be able to come back and join us again.
Sure.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.